And over to you, Zach, for your case study.
Cool. Thanks, Henry. So firstly, just thanks for the opportunity to reflect on the past 8 weeks, learnings and what we've been doing. So as you can see from the top, this idea is called our story. So the problem statement that I wanted to look into was that we believe that people that go on group holidays are currently frustrated by not being able to remember their trips in detail, but also being able to give meaningful recommendations to their friends and family. Now, this is a problem that I encounter whilst I'm away on trips with friends, remembering the names of places, the towns, the restaurants that I've been to. So I was just really, really interested to see if this was a me problem or if it was a wider issue. So the first objective was to achieve problem market fit by validating that remembering trips in detail is an acute problem. And I really wanted to focus my niche on a subset of users. So I was looking at travelers aged between 18 to 45, so people that might be going on group trips at the moment. So in order to achieve this, I needed to speak to the customer. So I scheduled 8 user interviews and I was able to complete 7 of them. All of them were in my target niche, so aged 18 to 45. They love to travel and have been on group trips in the past. So these interviews highlighted the main trigger for this problem, which was great for me. It was great to know that other people were having the same issue. The main trigger for this was the fear of forgetting their memories. Travel memories are the best memories that anyone makes, and there's a real fear that you're going to lose those. So in the group of users, there were 2 clear groups. There were those that remembered their trips in great detail. These tended to be the organizers of trips, and there were those that that validated the problem statement and couldn't remember trips in detail or give meaningful recommendations. So this was also just not isolated to group trips. This problem was for solo trips. It was also for a romantic getaway. Couples going away, one tends to remember, the other doesn't. So for my outreach, I used LinkedIn and also just a few Instagram posts to find customers in my niche. I had a few people contact me directly after friends saw it and they shared it with them. So it was great to see, our story getting out there through word of mouth. So all of the interviews I added into a board in Miro, which is just a really clean and simple way to visualize the responses. From here, you can start to see common themes across all of the interviews. So I've outlined these on the right-hand side. The first one was that users relied on others to keep an account of their trips. So this, again, would tend to be the organizer, someone that planned the trip, or someone in the group that took all the photos. When pressed on this topic, there was the realization that, hang on, I don't have access to all of these memories. And they struggled to remember the details of their trips. As they struggled to remember the details of their trips, they were then not able to give good or meaningful recommendations to friends or family who are planning to go on the same trip. So again, another frustration. There was then just the general frustration of not being able to remember things. So what I started to do, I started to convert these common frustrations into opportunities. The niche or the group that I've been speaking to had a fear of forgetting. They needed to be able to share their trips and their albums. They needed to be able to give good recommendations and be able to give detailed accounts of their trips when asked. So the second objective was to validate the offer market fit. So I turned the opportunities into a minimal viable offer. So we help travelers to relive and share their memories. And we iterated this on this minimum viable offer following feedback from users. Users were saying they felt that they were in this group, but they didn't count themselves as a traveler, as they'd not been backpacking in the past. And when people speak about travelers, they tend to associate themselves with that. So we changed the MVO to we help the everyday traveler to relive and share their memories. And we went back and spoke to people, and they then felt included within that statement. To then validate the minimum viable offer, I created a landing page that I could include in my outreach. And given the conversations I had with users, it all revolved around storytelling. So I decided to brand the landing page with the logo, Our Story. Something simple, and I think, invoked what people were feeling around travel. Users hitting this landing page could then sign up to the beta program, and they would then receive a survey to complete. So the key results from doing this was that we had 115 sessions, 84 unique visitors. We had users from 8 different countries coming to the page. 19 users signed up, so a 23% conversion, and 6 of those users responded to the survey, so 32% of users. I then used the Blue Ocean strategy canvas to highlight the points of differentiation between our stories and other tools on the market. So I looked at tools like Instagram that people referenced that they were using, and I used TripAdvisor and Facebook. And I found my Blue Ocean. So you can see that in the graph there. Sorry, jumping ahead. So then what I did was I used the product story canvas, which really helps to align stakeholders around what is important to the user and how we would bring them to the point of transformation, where they would be a traveler who gains joy by reliving their memories and is able to help others make their own memories through meaningful recommendations. So you can see all of that within here. And then what I then needed to do was create a product vision and then a strategy on how we're going to do that. So I took the learnings from the user interviews, the points of differentiation from the Blue Ocean strategy, the data that was given from the survey respondents, and I mapped this out in the product story canvas. And we now have a validated product vision and product strategy. So I found that using the product strategy of a simple note capture and photo sharing app on the landing page didn't have the response that was needed. It sort of dulled it down a little bit. And after speaking with users in my niche, they felt they rallied around the vision more so than the strategy. So we used that on the main landing page as stating the strategy wasn't needed. People understood what was needed from the vision. So the third objective was all around the feasibility and viability of the offer. And before rushing into a solution, we created the customer journey map to visualize how a customer would interact with the product. So within the map, we outlined all the key events, the customer motivations, and areas of friction within their experience. And once this was clear, we started work on some basic wireframes, and we tested these with 5 users for basic validation. Some really, really good points came out of this in terms of ease of use of the product and making it as simple as possible to capture a memory. We then used the lean canvas as shown on the right to deconstruct the business idea into key assumptions for better analysis. So this provides an actionable and focused business plan, focusing in on the problems and solutions. As you can see, the revenue streams and cost structure, and the unique value proposition, and the key metrics that we're going to monitor to ensure the product is being adopted. The fourth objective was to validate that we're delivering on our core value, and that is something that our users value highly. To do this, we built a Figma prototype, and we then duplicated it and customized each one to the individual user. We were able to get 4 customers onboarded to test the prototype out, but we're aiming to have 5 users each week as we make iterations to see progress. Once we had onboarded these users, we then used the product market fit engine to determine the PMF score. And we did this by surveying those 4 users after they had gone through the prototype, as we wanted to see how our story is perceived and valued. So in this survey, we asked the following questions. How would you feel if you could no longer use our story? What type of people do you think would benefit most from our story? What is the main benefit that you receive from our story? And how can we improve our story for you? So we then, has that changed? Has that gone to the right thing?
Oh, is it trying to load the video embed thing? Do one more, click right once again. No, sorry, sometimes it triggers.
I think I've got my slides in the wrong order. Well, let's go to this one. So the PMF engine provides us with a score for product market fit. We had 50% of users saying that they would be very disappointed if they could not use our story again. These are our high experience customers, and our PMF score is 50%. As you can see within this word cloud, we've got things to keep doing and things to improve on. So what people really liked with our story was adding photos to a trip, being able to quickly check in to a location, adding notes against photos, so against a memory, and also just how easy and simple it was to use. The great thing is there are a lot of things that can be improved, and they were giving a lot of feedback in how they see the direction of the business progressing. So, adding voice notes to a story, sorting by the date of an entry, having a gallery view for all of your trips, and having that against a map. And then things like printing out a travel book from all of your photos that you have, and integrating with Instagram. The one simple thing that I pulled from this, and something that we could work on, and I've put into a short-term roadmap, is being able to see all of my photos in the gallery view. That's quite a simple thing that I feel that we can achieve in the short term. Also, being able to reorder content in a story. So as users are adding content into the story, just being able to drag and drop things into the relevant order, and then also being able to record voice notes. You want to make this as easy as possible, and adding things on the go. So just to quickly come back, because I think I've got my slides in the wrong order. This is a couple of screenshots of the prototype. So you have all of your trips in one view, and as you go on more trips and you go into different countries, that gets highlighted in green. You've got all of your different stories within your trip that you've got here, and all of your friends that are currently on this trip with you, and you're able just to quickly add friends by clicking on this button here. This is a view of an individual story. So this is in Porto, in Portugal. and it's the one about the flaming sausage. And you can see all the different stories that have been added by different users, as well as checking into a location. On the right, we had our impact effort matrix. So this is all of the ideas that we had that we quickly put into an impact effort matrix and decided on what features were going to be added into the prototype. So this is the strategic roadmap for the next, 2 to 3 years. This is a visualization of what features are needed to help our story achieve its long-term goals for success. It helps stakeholders to connect the dots and see how their actions fit in with the company's vision of where we want to be in the future. Of course, the roadmap is flexible, so we'll be incorporating feedback into it as we go along. And just to finish on me.
Sorry, you don't have to read it out. I know some people have done it in the example, so about reading it out. Yeah, leave this slide up though. I think it's nice to have. Good, yeah, nice presentation. I think cool to see how the prototype at the end as well, because this is one I was quite curious about. We talked about it, right? The difficulty in positioning, busy market, competing against Instagram, essentially. Good. So I'll go through just quickly some points from the presentation and then just some talking points, for you to take moving forward.